Hi folks, today let's talk about what helps me to avoid lines between areas when I stitch and actually if it works. So let's get started. I will start from 10 stitch. It will be easier to explain. We will check how it works and after that I will move to cross stitch.
I would call this approach from a blank point.
So I try to stitch as much as possible
From a blank hole
to filled one. So in such case it will be like I continue stitching if I just would continue with the same thread.
So let me show what would be the right way in my approach, and after that I will show incorrect way. I'm starting my thread from blank point and finish it in a filled one.
And the same will be if I move all next ones. So it's always from hole which is not stitched yet. What would be the wrong approach? If I start from the filled hole and go to the empty one. In such case, all stitches goes up, and because of that, I believe there will be visible line. So let me try to stitch this area with my approach, and we will see if it actually works and if we'll have the visible line between these areas. Let's check if it works on 10 stitch. If I look closely, I don't really see the border between the areas. It should be right here. When I remove the grid, it completely disappeared. But I want to draw your attention to the fact that I have stitched in rows on the right, here it was rows, and in columns on this area. If you look closely, you might see slight transition, but it's only a little bit, and in general, if I move away at least for 20 centimeters, it's already unnoticeable. So personally, I would say that this method works for me, and I will use it from time to time on my projects. How it works on cross stitch? Actually, I try the same. So here I have straight line. In such case, I will try as much as possible
To stitch from a blank point
to the filled one. So half stitch and second half.
if I have several stitches,
The same color. In such case, I will go like this one.
so the first half will be from the blank point,
And second one will be from filled one. Of course, if it's the second one will be,
an opposite way.
it's even a less option to have visible line. But from what I see, it's not like big difference. Just to make as much as possible to move needle, so thread on the finished cross goes down. Now I will show how I stitched it before, and that way I had visible borders with this approach. If I stitch both of them from filled one, in such case this already stitched thread goes up and it will make this visible line. So this one would be wrong approach. So let me try to stitch this area and we will see if it actually helps. And I would like to mention one important note. If in this area you stitched in rows,
do not change direction to columns. So in this case, if I stitch columns, for sure I will have borders visible. So in such case, I will need to stitch in rows as well. And opposite, if you stitch here in columns, here continue in columns. So results here. We had border right there, and from my opinion, I don't see any transition here. It's pretty much smooth, but I have one takeaway. Let me show. I feel like if I stitch this way, so first half stitch goes from the blank point, and second one goes from the border, transition is smoother. But if I stitch this way, first half goes from blank hole and second half goes from the blank hole as well. In such case, I feel like very slight differences are present. So probably I see a little bit of border here. So for me, this one is much smoother. But I would like to say that in this case, I stitch the same way. So for me, this one line would be like if I don't cut a thread at all. Probably because of that, I see a slightly noticeable border right here, but not very significant. If I stitch here like this one in rows and change direction to columns like this one, in such case definitely I have visible line which is not very, it's really visible. So this one I would not recommend at all.